Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Jones, and we are here for Software Success again today. So, thank you for joining me for this episode. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. We're talking about a design I know you guys see out there everywhere, and I'm going to show you how you can create some of those in our Dime software using features that you already probably have on hand. So, you guys know that I love my software. And so, if you are new here, Software Success is all about Dime embroidery software. We talk about things that it can do and how to use those features and different ways to apply them. We have a lesson every first and third Tuesday. And so, you can rewatch past ones. You can watch them live, like you are here today. But it's always nice to be able to go back and reference and step through those steps to really learn your software. If you don't have the software program that I'm talking about, any of the times that I'm showing a demonstration, you could always play with our demo version and then test out, see if you like any of those features before even making any purchase. And we'll see a little bit more about that. So I see we've got lots of people joining. And so lots of familiar names and faces. Hey, Laura, good to see you. Terry, good to see you as well. Marianne, thanks for being here. She said she's having a spring like in Ohio. That's kind of nice. And then Dawn from Creative Applique, she said it's sunny today in Virginia. Mickey Smith, thanks for being here from Topeka. Good to see you. Caroline Booth, always good to see you as well. Linda Johnson, I heard that you had a beautiful quilt at the quilt show. So thanks for being here with us back from the quilt show there. So Sue Brown, you guys know Sue. She joins Eileen on Between Friends. Thank you for being here, Sue. So glad to have you. And Tammy Madden, one of our educators. Thanks for joining Tammy. She always has some awesome creative ideas as well. April Taylor, good to see you as well. Susan from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So just my neighbor to the north. So good to see everybody. So today we are going to talk about sketch embroidery designs. So this is a question that I was asked recently, so it inspired this demonstration. So if you've got questions, ask them because it may turn into a whole software success. And so this one I thought was a really good example because there are different types of sketch designs, and it depends on what you're referring to as a sketch design as to how you would create it. But you can produce a sketch looking design really with just a couple of clicks in the software. So it's a super easy thing to do. And you can also do some manual sketch designs, which I'm going to talk about as well. So really it just depends on the look you're going for, how you would create it. But you can do anything that you see out there on the internet or from your favorite designer, you certainly could create. And Run Stitches create our sketch designs, and Run Stitches are among the easiest to digitize. And so it's a really great place to start, believe it or not. It's a lot of detail. It looks like it's going to be complicated, but it's really, really easy. We're not going to go into depth on some of that really intense digitizing, but I do have some easy ways to create these looks for you. Now, I want to clarify also what we're referring to when we're talking about sketch designs. Now, these to me, this is what I think of when I think of a sketch design. This is a design that looks like a pencil drawing or maybe even a charcoal kind of sketch. And it is turned into stitches with some very specific detail. So like, especially the bunny there. So the bunny and the that skull mount there is from Urban Threads, which I think have some beautiful sketch designs. So the designs by Juju, I think, is another really good example. And then Anita Good Design. And those are not the only ones. There are tons of designers out there that have them. Those are just some that I searched that had a variation in the look that I wanted to go for. So when I think sketch, this is really what I think of, but there are a lot of designers out there that are creating designs and they're referring to them as sketch designs. And it looks like these that you see here on my screen. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because this is super easy and it is really cute. But you can certainly create those other style designs. If I back up, these designs also can be created in Dime software, but these require you to lay down each of those run stitches. Like if you look, for instance, in this little bunny, all of those little run stitches that are making the detail and the accent of the bunny, those are run stitches that are individually placed. And you certainly can do that, but I'm going to go this route because we have this built-in fill design, fill options into a lot of our software. And you can also do a run stitch design, which I'm going to show you how to do, which a lot of our software, actually a good majority of it, has the ability to turn an artwork into a run stitch. So we'll see that. So these designs, like I said, they're referred to as sketch style designs. And I do understand that wording for the reason it's a run stitch design. It's really just a loosely dense run stitch design that runs through there and fills, so it does give you that sketch appearance. So I can see, both of them, and it really just depends on which one you like. But this is what we're really going to see today. So let me talk about how you can different ways to create them. So first and foremost, my favorite way to do this is using the wave fill in Perfect Embroidery Pro. But I'm going to show you how to do this, but I wanted to show you these different types of stitches that I'm going to share with you. So this is the wave fill, but don't think you only have to have Perfect Embroidery Pro. I have scoured all of our Dime software to figure out as many different pieces that can create a look similar to this and how you would do it. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways. Now, I also played around. Look at these different fills here. So the shape fill, you can see the berries, how it has that concentric circle there. So that is a circle shape fill, and I'll show you that. And it generated a very similar effect as the wave, and I could move my center point to give me the look that I was going for, and I would show you that. And then also the stippling fill. So in Perfect Embroidery Pro and in My Quilt Embellisher, you can create a stippling quilting fill. Most of the time we use it for quilting, but I actually reduced the density quite a bit and shortened the stitch length because the curves are so tight in this example here. And I kind of like the look I got. So I was going to share that with you as well, just as a variation. You may like that better. And then the contour fill, which is also in PEP and My Quilt Embellisher, you can see that this is a series of run stitches that is following along the shape of each of those objects. So you can see that it follows along the shape of the leaf and also the letter as well. So I'll show you that one also. And then these are some variations. So in the Special FX software, so if you have Special FX, the Mylar fill and the chenille fill, it's run stitches. So the Mylar fill, just as it is, I didn't change one thing, and I got that sketch look just by doing the Mylar fill, and I just wouldn't put Mylar under it. The chenille fill, I had to increase, or actually, lower the number, but it's, making a tighter density between the stitches. And normally these would be our channels that we cut for chenille. But of course, if we're doing it in this instance, we're not going to be cutting those channels. We're just going to stitch it as this sketch style look. But look at that varsity stitch. So if you are familiar with our varsity stitch in our Special FX software, it is a type of fill that gives you texture that kind of mimics the looped chenille of varsity letters. And so what I did there, it actually produced a really cool effect when I removed the fill stitches from underneath, and I just left that textured fill on top. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. So I'll share that with you also. And then what about Stitch Snapshot? This is our photo stitching software. And so if you have Stitched Snapshot, normally you would bring in an image, a photograph. Let me go back. Sorry, I accidentally clicked my mouse here. You would bring in a photograph that is, a person, a dog, a plant, something that has actually been taken with a camera and not an artwork style or a clip art style image. But believe it or not, it'll do the same thing with those clip art style images, and that's what I did here. And there's actually two different styles that you can generate in the Stitch Snapshot, and I really think this hatching style is getting closer to that, that sketched look. And this is called a stippling, and it's a random kind of stippling looking stitch to make that shading and images, but it worked really well here too. So if you have Stitch Snapshot, this is a really cool look that you can get from that program. And now this, so I see people refer to this as a sketch design, but I've also seen it as Scribble, which I kind of think that that word is a better description of this type of design. But this is still kind of a sketch type design, but all of those run stitches, I actually did actually make those with my artwork tool by drawing those. And you could see the one on the left, I tried to use my kindergarten education and stay within the lines. But then on the right, I specifically colored outside the lines, so to speak, to get like a different style. Now, all I did here was just scribble on the screen with my mouse, and I converted that to a run stitch. And we have a lot of our dime software that has the ability to do just that. So you can produce these two types of designs in our Perfect Embroidery Pro, My Quilt Embellisher, My Block Piecer, the Vintage Embroidery, My Lace Maker, Patch and Applique Maker, Cut and Stitch, and Special FX software. So that gives all of you out there viewing, no matter which program you have, you probably can do one of these styles, because I think I covered like a lot of different main pieces of our software for sure. Okay, so let me head over, and now that we've kind of seen what we're going to talk about, so I'm going to go to my software here, and that was my little gingerbread I was just playing with before we started. But let me go down to my shopping cart tab here in the bottom right, and remember all of the software is listed here. So if you don't own the software program that I'm one of the ones that I'm talking about today, and you want to try it, you want to play with it, you just want to duplicate what I've done, then what you can do is you can use the trial version. So any of these software that do not have the check mark next to it, if you click the options, which is this dot, 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 it's an ellipsis button here, means there's more information under here, and click the try, that will turn off every bit of your software that you own, and it will just show the features of the one that you are trying. So you can play around with these different features if you want. And then once you're done playing with the demo version, just close your software out and reopen it, and it'll be all back to normal, just like it was before you click the try. And then if you want to try it again, you can try it again. You can try any of our software as many times as you want. The only thing you can't do in the trial version is save, but you can play with all of the other features. Okay. So now let's open up a new page here. And let's start with a piece of artwork. Okay, now where do we get an artwork? So you need a shape. If you want to play with this feature, you just need a shape. So here's what you can do. In nearly every dime software, we have the artwork tool. If you click the drop down, you can draw any of these shapes. So maybe a heart or star is a good one to work with, because that would make a cute little design when you were done. Okay, so you can choose one of the shapes, click and drag on the workspace, and then you can do what we're about to do. Okay. Also, in a lot of the dime software, we have either applique shapes or what we call frames. And those shapes you could also select and play with as well. And let me go over to the right-hand side here. So all of these icons are all of my other dime software that I use. And a lot of them have different artworks in them. So like if I click on Patch and Applique, for instance, applique shapes is really just a set of artwork shapes that I can click on and choose from. Okay, so you can see here, so there's lots of good options, and I actually use this holly here. But you also have shapes in Cut and Stitch, My Lace Maker. There's lots of places that have artwork shapes as well. So I'm going to undo. I'm sorry, I didn't click Patch and Applique Maker. I meant to click Cut and Stitch. So Cut and Stitch crafts shapes, but I do still have a holly in here. And you can see that it comes in as an artwork. Now, if you bring in the applique shape, and actually that's actually a really good point here. Let me go back and do that one as well. And so if you have an applique shape in the software, you could always convert it to artwork or convert it to these type of stitches. If it is created or it's native to our software, this will work, but you cannot just bring in someone else's applique design and do what I'm about to do unless you create an outline around it to create an artwork outline. But here you can see that I can convert this to different types of stitches. So I could go right back to artwork as well. And you can see that it's, perfectly shaped just like I need it. And I can also go over here. If you have Perfect Embroidery Pro, the effects panel is usually where I go to click on my different types of fills. And so this wave fill right here is the one that, to me, I really like this one the best. Okay, so now you can adjust the wave fill. So I can adjust the density. If I lower this number, it'll put my stitches closer together, which is what I like. The other thing that I would do here is I would copy and paste and make the second one a run stitch or the first one a run stitch. So that I get a nice crisp outline. So you can see these stitches here, because this wave fill stitch is stitching continuously, you can see that I've got breaks there on the end and on the outside of my berries. But if I copy and paste this same exact thing, you can see I've got two of them. So I'm going to undo. And then that second one, all I have to do is click to turn that into a run stitch. And so now I've got that run stitch outline around the edge. And you can see that it really makes a nice, outline around the edge. And that's really it. So this is the wave fill. And I just selected the shape and converted it to a wave fill. Well, we went from an applique to the artwork and then to this, but you can bring in artwork that you already own. If you have files that you use for your digital cutter, you can bring those in and do this same thing with, okay? So this is the wave fill, and you can adjust it. So your shape tool is a way that you can adjust this wave. You can see I've got this line here that is following my wave. So if I click on this point, let me take off the 3D so you can see it. Now my Bezier handles here will allow me to adjust that curve, and I'll turn that back on so you can see it. You can also change the direction if you want. So I could pull these around this way. Whoops, that one went a little bit crazy. So just do, anytime that happens, undo key, and then I can just kind of adjust that curve like that. So, and if I turn my 3D on so that you can see it again, you can see I changed the directions of the stitches, okay? So this is the wave fill, which I think it does a great job. All I have to do is select my artwork and click that option. So I'm going to go back to my cut and stitch and get my artwork again. And all I did was made one a run stitch. So I'm going to actually turn this into a run stitch. Okay, so that was the first one. And then if I copy and paste, you don't see it, but there is another copy there. And I'm going to undo to line it up. And then I just clicked on the wave fill. And then I adjusted the density here, okay, to make it a little closer together. Now, these are traveling stitches. And so this is just has to do with stitch order. So depending on which software you have, you certainly can change the stitch order, the start stop, but your machine will trim over a certain length. But if you do have Perfect Embroidery Pro, I can actually apply a trim down here in the bottom, and I just click and insert the trim, and it will trim at the end of the previous design for me. So if I select insert the trim, then it will do all of the work for me. And I have to do that on the run stitch and also on the that fill stitch that we did as well. So if I choose the run stitch and click the scissors down here, it applies the trim. You can see it added a little scissor so that it'll trim after that one, and I can do that one the same. So that's going to remove those stitches, and now you can see my little scissors that I added. Now, adding those trims, that's part of Perfect Embroidery Pro. If you don't, those stitches are longer, and your machine's probably going to trim them anyway. And so I wouldn't worry about it if you don't have it. So, but you certainly can apply it. That just makes a design stitch out, of course, better and less that you have to do. Okay, so now I'm going to undo. I'm just going to go all the way back to just my artwork. And I'm going to select everything and I'm going to make a copy again. So copy and paste, and I'm going to turn that one into my run stitch. Now I can either click my run stitch outline here, or I could also do a right mouse click, convert to run. Okay. And so now I have a run stitch around the edge. I hid the wrong one. There we go. And then now I've still got my artwork. Okay. So here's my artwork. So I'm going to leave the run stitch each time, and I'm actually going to group it together so that all of the things that we're about to do, then I don't mess with my run stitch. Okay, I'm going to turn off my little scissors because that bothers me. So that's over here, just toggling my commands off and on. Now, for the shape fill, okay, so I'm going to select my artwork here, and let's go to my quilt embellisher. Click on this icon, and the shape fill is this shape echo option right here. So if I click shape echo, it brings up and it wants me to choose a shape that it's going to echo. So I'm going to just start with this diamond, but you can do any of them. But do you see how it has the center and it's just stitches out and out and out? Wow, I think that makes actually a cute, I'm going to reduce the density here. I think that makes actually a really cute look, but it may not be the look that you're going for. So if you want just the lines and you're having to use the shape fill because you're in My Quilt Embellisher and you don't have the wave fill, if you click on your shape tool, you can see that we've got this magenta colored dot in the center. If I move that completely outside of my area and then right mouse click, you can see I've got straight lines and I've got a little bit here. But I can move it further to get rid of all of those lines. So I'm going to do the same thing here, just move it out, and you can see that you can see the end or the bottom of my design. And so it looks like I need to move a little bit further this way. There we go. Okay, so the shape fill, and I'm going to change to a different shape here. So let me select this one. Right now it's set for the diamond, but this, you might have the oval. So, and it works the same way. You can see here that this has the circle in the center. If I use my shape tool, I can just move that out of the way. And now I get kind of this arc because it is creating an oval with the stitches and the center being out here. Okay. Now for these little guys, this actually might be cute if we just use the circle, because then we could move the center and it'll kind of look like the center of the berries, right? And I could even reduce the density to give a different look. Okay. Now the stitches in this area, they're 3.0, but this is a really small area. So they're 3 millimeters. So I might drop that down to like maybe a 2.6, 2.7. I would probably reduce it and then test it to see what I liked. Okay. So that's just using the shape fill. Now, any of these shapes here, you can move the center point to produce these individual lines so that you don't see the actual shape that it's making. Okay, so that's what the shape fill is with My Quilt Embellisher. And so to me, those are the two that look the most like the designs that I'm seeing out there. It is the shape fill and the wave fill, but you certainly could explore all of these other ones as well. Now, this motif fill, let me select my fill shape here again. The motif is a decorative stitch, and some of these actually, even though it's not just straight lines, if you reduce the pattern length here, make it closer together, I think that might be something that I could like. So you certainly could use those decorative fills here as well. The other one that you have in My Quilt Embellisher is the contour option. Now, if I click over here on My Quilt Embellisher and the drop down menu, contour means that it's going to follow along the shape of whatever you selected. So I'm going to reduce that density a lot. So I'm going to go down to 1 millimeter, and you can see that it's following along the shape of the leaves, and you might even want to go lower to get more stitches in there. So that's the contour. So contour, shape fill, and wave fill are the ones we just looked at. So wave fill is Perfect Embroidery Pro. The contour and the shape fill you can get in My Quilt Embellisher, and the shape fill is also in PEP as well, and you can also use your motif stitches. Okay, so pretty cool, right? What do you guys think? So I will show you special FX coming up next before we do the scribbly part. But let's see if we have any questions. So those of you that have been here before know that if you have a question, start with the few question marks. It just helps me pick it out of the questions that are going by. And so I'll look through and see if I see any quickly. Let me back up here. I see lots of more people that have joined. So our friend Joanne Banco from Let's Go Sew. So thanks for being here, Joanne. So I hope you are doing well. And Rain Wilcoxon of Embroidery Garden. So This by Chris, thanks for being here. So lots of familiar faces and names always. So Callie, thanks for being here as well. So I'm just looking through. I did see a question. So Melissa Lopez says, how much is the entire suite of embroidery software? That's a good question. We don't really have an amount for buying everything. So all of our software, they're individually, they work alone, they're standalone. So most people, purchase the ones that really would work for them. But I do understand that need for wanting them all, because I do love to have all of them as well. But right now we don't have a purchase everything bundle. It's just, whichever pieces that you're interested in, Melissa. So that's a really good question. So and Linda Brooks says that she was mentioning to somebody else. So I just saw the question mark there. So I'll let them answer their questions there. And then Linda Johnson says she loves the wave stitch. So yeah, that's my favorite for sure. And then Cynthia Ferris says, which software are you using? So Cynthia, I'm using Dimes embroidery software, but because I own every piece of their software, all of my features are working together. So I do try to point out where I am getting different features from as I'm demonstrating. So the wave fill that I used for filling the shape came from Perfect Embroidery Pro, and the shape fill came from Perfect Embroidery Pro, or if you have My Quilt Embellisher. So I try to make sure to point those out. And my holly leaves, the artwork came from Cut and Stitch, but there's also the same shape in Patch and Applique Maker. And you could even bring in an artwork shape if you have some as well, or draw some. So, and then Melissa says, so how much for the whole suite? So sorry, Melissa. So it looks like the same question twice there. So hopefully maybe somebody can, look at that. But if you go and look at every individual piece, that's really what we're doing. We don't have a special for all of them. And then Sarah, which program allows you to import your own artwork? And so for importing your own artwork, you can use Perfect Embroidery Pro. My Quilt Embellisher will allow you to bring in artwork. You can also do that in Cut and Stitch, Word Art and Stitches, My Lace Maker, Patch and Applique Maker, and I'm trying to just think here. Block Piecer will let you bring in artwork as well, and Special FX. I think that's all of them for bringing in your own artwork. So that's a really good list, right? So you can bring in your artwork and then use the stitches to do this. So whether it's something you've drawn, or maybe it's a cut file that you have that you're using for your digital cutter, you can bring it in. So, and then Terry said, when you add the trims to part of PEP, can you apply all at once by selecting all of the objects? So the feature that I used, so trims you usually apply to a specific stitch. So if you select all of them, it won't apply because it doesn't know where you want to put the trim. And so when you use that shortcut trim that I used in the bottom right, what it is doing is it's trimming after the last object. So whatever object you have selected, then it just automatically puts the trim at the very last stitch of the previous object. I find that's the easiest way to do that between objects. Otherwise, you select the exact stitch number and apply the trim to it. If you select everything, it doesn't know if you want to trim in the middle of your design, that sort of thing there. So really good questions. And so Joyce Leary says, I have PEP and a number of the modules. Do I need the Toolshed Plus? So it depends on which programs that you have, which other modules you have, Joyce. But really what Embroidery Toolshed Plus has is it's the regular ungrouping and editing with some text and some other built-in like little things. But you probably, with Perfect Embroidery Pro, you probably have all of those features, and you do have the text that's built in, other than there's a applique monogram and I think a monogram font, and those you might have if you have Word Art and Stitches. So what I would say for you to do is just try it and then just see if it has anything. But it is really a very basic editing, add text kind of program. So if you've got Perfect Embroidery Pro, then most likely Embroidery Toolshed's not going to give you anything additional. So, and then Joanne says, what's the best way to see designs built into the Dime software program? So that's a good question. So they are all over the place, because depending on which program you have, then the designs that are built in might be in a little bit different locations. But the majority of the time, if you look in the designs that are here, like in Perfect Embroidery Pro, text designs, look for these icons here. If I switch my default, I'm going to switch to, let's say to Word Art and Stitches, maybe. So Word Art and Stitches, there are some frames and things under this patch, the path shapes. So look for the icon that's the open heart for those shapes there. And if I go to like Patch and Applique Maker is a really good one, because it has, I'm going to make that one the default just so my icons change. You do not have to do this, but usually the first 3 to 4 icons of any Dime software is where you might find your design library. So here, applique shapes are under this library, charm shapes under this one, and then just the applique frames under this category here. And I can access all of those by over to the right-hand side by clicking the icon, and then I can select those as well. So if I click on My Lace Maker, there's my lace designs. I don't have to change my software to get to this, but if you do have your Lace Maker as a default, it's usually the first few icons up here on your second row. So hopefully that helps. And then Darlene says, can PEP send a design to the Bernina 990 wireless? No. Our Dime software can only send wirelessly at this time to Brother and Baby Lock machines. And so at this time, we cannot send wirelessly to Bernina 990, but hopefully, maybe, you never know. So stay tuned to see if that happens. So. And then Laura says, what format to use when importing artwork? I mostly use SVG, Laura, but you can also use like EPS, WMF, AI files from oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. From Adobe Illustrator. You can also use PLT files. So there's a variety of different ones, but I tend to use SVG just because I feel like there's more of those out there with our cutters these days. So, but it'll read pretty much all of those artwork types as well. So, and then Sarah said, can you show us how to import your own artwork and what file types? Yeah, absolutely. And then that'll show Laura those other file types as well. So, Okay, so I don't see any other questions. So let's go over and do that. So I'm actually going to switch back to my Perfect Embroidery Pro as my default because that's what I like as my default. And so to bring in your own artwork, you're going to choose File and Import Artwork. And then you're going to locate that artwork on your computer. And it just so happens that Holly design I have saved as an SVG artwork, but I also have others saved under here as well. So like any of these SVGs. So if I just click on it, it'll open it, and then I can, add my wave fill just like we did with everything else. So then I've got that cute little flower there. So File and Import Artwork is all you're going to do. Okay, so now let's talk about let me back up here. So we talked about, I'm just going to kind of reiterate so I make sure I cover them all. So we talked about the wave fill. And then in My Quilt Embellisher and Perfect Embroidery Pro, we talked about the shape and the contour. Let me show you the stippling, and then we're going to go on to the special FX. So let me do the stippling really quick. So I'm going to go back to our design here. And I'm just going to select all of these fill areas. I just hold down my control key. And when I do that, you can see it's got a plus sign after it. That means I can click on several objects. And then over here, My Quilt Embellisher, my stippling option, this is my quilting fill. And notice how it's very big because this is a small design. But if I reduce the density here, you can see it fills in with those stippling. And I did reduce my stitch length because it's making some tight turns there. So 3.0 might be a little bit, overzealous to think that it can do that, but you could reduce that down and just kind of get a completely different look. So just something to try maybe. So completely different, not something that I've seen out there, but it's definitely something that you can do. All of these fills make a really unique look. Okay, so now let's do special effects. Okay, so for special effects, I'm going to start with artwork, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'm going to go back to my craft shapes, and I'm going to choose our same Holly. The reason I want to start with artwork here is because the special FX features, like Mylar, for instance, I'm going to do that one first. When I click Mylar, you can see that I get those lines that looks very much like that sketch. Well, I like to start with artwork because with the Mylar design, you are going to get a run stitch already. You know how we copied and pasted and we turned one into a run stitch and we turned the other into the wave fill? And I already have that run stitch with the Mylar. It's a built-in feature with Mylar to give you a placement stitch. So, and you get the Mylar fill, and then there's an outline stitch to make sure it cuts the edge of your Mylar nice and clean. So you don't have to have that extra run stitch, so you could really just delete it if you wanted. Okay. Now I'm going to do an undo and go back to my artwork, because if I were to select that fill and click my chenille fill, then it would add a whole bunch of extra stitches. So I always like to go back to artwork when I'm working with special FX. So then if I click on special FX and I click on the chenille fabric fill, and this is what I already played with. So we've got the option for line or a wave, 1, 2, or 3, and that just means there's more wave to number 2 and number 3. And I'm going to just choose, I'll do 2 this time. And I did my spacing 0.04. That's going to put my channels really close together. And I've got my direction set at 135, but you could do 45, you could do horizontal, whatever you wanted. Okay, and then I just have it as a run stitch for the outline, which is what I wanted for my sketch design. When I say okay, it does that for me. Okay, so now with the chenille fill, this is meant to cut these channels. Now these are too tight, we can't cut them. We would just be using this to mimic that sketch tile stitch. Okay, now what you need to know with a chenille fill is it also gives you that run stitch automatically, but I'm going to ungroup this. you not only get the first run stitch because this is a placement stitch and then we get a tack down for the base fabric, then you get the chenille channels, and then you get a finishing run stitch as well. You don't need all those run stitches, so you can remove all of them except for one, and then I can make that the same color as my green to give me my outline. Okay, so that's the chenille fill from my southern accent comes out when I say that, the chenille fill from the Special FX software. Okay, so I'm going to do undo again and go all the way back to my artwork, and then the Special FX varsity fill is the other one that I played around with. Now this gives you a completely different look. It is not that look that you've probably seen anywhere, but I kind of thought it was cool. Okay, so I'm going to click varsity, and this is what the varsity fill looks like. It's got this textured stitch over the top. If I ungroup, the bottom part is a complex fill that if I delete it, right mouse click, delete, or delete on your keyboard, I'm left with this. Okay, and so I thought that was a really cool look. So I'm going to undo, but instead of deleting that complex fill, I'm actually just going to right mouse click, convert to a run stitch. And so then I could actually see the shape of my leaves. Okay, and so I would select everything and ungroup everything, and I would do the same here. I would right mouse click, convert that to a run stitch so that I can see my shape, and then maybe do the same thing with the berries as well. So berries, berries, berries. I'm just guessing that those are the right stitches. Convert to run. Yeah. So isn't that cool? I actually kind of like that. It's kind of like this messy, scribbly kind of look to get a completely different stitch. So that is the Special FX. If you own Special FX, artwork to Mylar, artwork to chenille, artwork to varsity, and you've got 3 different looks. So pretty cool, right? Okay, so let me flip back over here. So we talked about those 3. And so the next thing I want to share with you is stitched snapshot really quickly. And then after stitch snapshot, we're going to do this scribble and how to manually do those stitches. Okay, so stitch snapshot is Dime's photo stitch software. So I'm going to start a new page, and I'm going to click the icon over here to the left that's for my stitch snapshot, and say choose this first option, stitch snapshot, and this lets me bring in an image. Okay, now the image normally would be like a photograph, like it will actually digitize this butterfly. And I click the show hide preview here, and you can see that it digitizes it so that I actually have, look at that shading. Isn't that beautiful? So it's really meant for a photograph, but that doesn't mean it won't work with our artwork images as well. So I'm going to go here and choose our holly. I saved it as a JPEG because that's what Stitch Snapshot needs. And I'm going to click OK. And then there's 2 different styles. There's stippling and there's hatching. So stippling looks like a little tiny meandering stitch here. So I'm going to click OK and apply that to our workspace. Now, because this is meant to do a photograph, that's why it created the background, but all I do is ungroup and just delete that. I don't want that. But look at this stitch that it does, and let's watch the slow redraw. So this is how it creates a photo, is this random kind of stitching, and that's how it creates the shading in a photograph. And so if you have flat artwork, it still does this really cool effect. Okay, so this is a stitched snapshot, Dime's photo stitch software with just a flat clip art image. So I'm going to do another one. So I'm going to do the stitch snapshot again. And for this one, let's go back and choose that butterfly first. And so this style right here, if I change it to hatching, it is a different stitch style. And you can see that it kind of looks like pencil sketchy, right? So I was like, wow, okay, that might be cool on our flat clip art type image as well. So have it on hatching right here, and then I just click show preview, and then when I click OK, it puts it on the workspace. I'm ungroup it and then just delete my white. And when we watch this stitch out, it is just a different style stitching. So I'm going to do my slow redraw. And you can see that it's just like really kind of like this random, like little sketchy stuff. It goes over in the layers because it normally is doing a photograph with colors, but that can give you a completely different look. Isn't that awesome? So that is using Stitch Snapshot to create a sketch style, completely different look design, right? Okay, and so the last thing I want to show you is this scribble style. And I call this scribble. Somebody else may still call this a sketch style design, but I called it scribble because I just literally I scribbled on the screen with my mouse. But this is using a run stitch and converting it to, or using the artwork pen tool to draw and then converting it to a run stitch. And you can do this in all of those software right there. Perfect Embroidery Pro, My Quilt Embellisher, My Block Piecer even. That is a program that's about piecing in the hoop, but it has the run stitch tool. So you can use it to do what I'm doing, even though that's for piecing in the hoop. Vintage Embroidery, My Lace Maker, Patch and Applique Maker, Cut and Stitch, and Special FX. So a lot of you out there probably will be able to do this one, and this one will take a little more time, but it is literally just as easy. Okay, so before I show you that, let's see if we have any questions. So I see that Catherine asked, does any other do the stick from Stick Snapshot? Okay, so no other dime software does those style stitching from Stitch Snapshot. So Stitch Snapshot has those two different styles of stitching to create the shading that you get in a photograph. Those type of stitching, they're manual stitches that are placed down to create that look, and none of our other dime software has those two style of stitching. But really, the Stitch Snapshot, I maybe one of our team members can look, but it's a very inexpensive one of our dime software. So if you like those stitches, it would be worth just probably getting that. So, and then Joyce Leary says, so if I draw a picture and I scan it into my computer, I can import it into PEP. Is that correct? Yes, you can bring that into Perfect Embroidery Pro as a backdrop and then trace that image with Perfect Embroidery Pro. Or depending on how clean the image is, you might be able to use the auto vector or the auto digitizing wizard to automatically do the work for you. But yes, load backdrop is the way that you can bring in a scanned picture into your Perfect Embroidery Pro. So that is something I do often. I love being able to do that. So, and then Dawn Tennyson says she's late, but will rewatch. She received the first her Snap Hoop Monster last week. Yay, Dawn! Congratulations. So yeah, definitely rewatch. So, and then just looking back to see if I see any other questions here. And I think I'm all caught up. So if you have more questions, then definitely let me know. Oh, I see Mary Larson popped in. Hey, Mary, how are you? And so Mary said, would you create a run line around the photo artwork stitches for finishing? I thought they filled in pretty well. So, but I think that's a personal preference too. So when you look at those stitches, I could still tell the shape of my artwork, whereas if I go back here and that one too, I can still tell the shape of it. But this one here, if we, took away all of our run stitches, then it really did not resemble as much. And so that's really the reason I wanted to put that around. But I would say it's a personal preference. So personal preference for if you want that run stitch outline or not. So, and then Cynthia Ferris says, so PEP doesn't have it. What are you referring to, Cynthia? If you're referring to the particular stitches that are in Stitch Snapshot, then no, those are specifically digitized for digitizing photos. And so you could certainly do it manually, but it's not a fill option in Perfect Embroidery Pro. It's only in the Stitch snapshot software. So really good question. And then Dorothy says, can you print out a snapshot on a laser printer, or do you need an inkjet? So, can you print out a snapshot? So the stitched snapshot, those are not for, I mean, you could print it, but it's really for stitching. So when you import your photograph and it converts it to stitches, then you would save it to your embroidery machine format and then stitch that with thread. If you are referring to Dorothy about bringing the picture in, then you would just scan that in, or these days, most of our photographs are already digital on our phone. So you could scan in an image. If it's an old image that you have a physical printout of, you could scan it in and bring it into your software. But stitched snapshot is for stitching photographs, and you would bring in the image and then convert it to stitches and stitch it on your embroidery machine. So pretty cool. Okay. All right. So let's go back over and let's talk about the last one, the scribble. Okay. I'm going to do the new page here and I'm going to get my same artwork. Now, remember, your artwork can come from anywhere. You don't have to draw these leaves. I just chose these for my example today. Okay, so for these, I did want the run stitch outline, so I just went ahead and converted this to a run stitch. So either if you've got Perfect Embroidery Pro, you have this effects panel, you can convert to run. If I do an undo here, if I don't have Perfect Embroidery Pro, it might be under your convert to. Right mouse click, convert to run stitch. Okay, and so then it converted to run. And by doing that, I have no idea why it went ahead and took care of my stitches for me. And so that's kind of nice. So, okay. So now that I've done this, this is just my outline. So if I want to do that scribble, all I did was I used my artwork pen tool, which you have in a lot of dime software. And when you use the artwork pen tool, you can draw. Okay. So I'm just going to do some clicks here. And then I'm going to right mouse click or either hit the enter on your keyboard. And that's what we just drew. Okay. And then we would convert that to a run stitch the same way that we just converted this outline. Right mouse click, convert to a run stitch, or use the run stitch in your effects here. And you might have a run stitch option on your toolbar up top, depending on which software program you have. So literally, I just scribbled with my mouse. Okay. So I select my pen tool here. Okay. And then click, click. Oh, let me go. What am I thinking? I need to start up here. Okay. Click, 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 click. And I'm just clicking to fill in. Okay. And because this is straight lines, I'm just clicking from one side to the other. And for this one, I'm just kind of staying inside of my shape, not being like exactly perfect. And I don't care if I stitch over top of some other lines, run stitches, it's not going to matter. And this could be as perfect or as imperfect as you want it to be. Okay. So I'm just going to click along doing this. And then once we get it completely done, I'll show you how to use freehand. Well, I kind of missed some spots there, so I kind of backtrack. So I got a pile of stitches right there. But if you place a stitch incorrectly, you don't have to keep going. You could hit the back on your keyboard and it'll take it away. So back will take it away, and then I can kind of move it and start over. And I could hit back, 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 back as long as I needed to. Okay. Now I'm just going to go quicker here to get this done. So this is just drawing. And of course, this is the easiest form of drawing because it's nothing perfect. Whoops, I went too far. So I hit the back on my keyboard. I wish you guys could see my keyboard. I hit the back button on my keyboard to take that away. And then I'm just filling in here. And now I was just doing straight lines, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So now when I select this, it is just artwork. There are no stitches here. Okay. So right here, it's all artwork. So right mouse click, convert to run stitch. Okay. And then you might want to make it the same color as your outline for your leaves. Okay. Now, another way you could do this is by using your pen tool, but to freehand it, meaning that you're just going to scribble on the screen. Okay, so there's two different ways to do this. You can press the F as in Frank on your keyboard. Do you see how that converted to a pencil? Okay. I'm going to go back. So this is regular. The S on my keyboard is regular. If I press the F as in Frank, it'll switch to freehand. You can also switch to freehand permanently under Tools, General Options, And under your digitizing options, mine is set to be simple draw by default. But if you want it to always be freehand, you can switch it here. But I like simple draw. And then if I want to do something freehand, then I just press the F on my keyboard. Okay. And so I'm going to rotate this design around just because it's easier for me to scribble my mouse left to right. And that's just me. You may be easier to scribble up and down, but it feels more natural to go left and right. Okay, so I'm going to press the F on my keyboard. And now for this one, I'm not going to worry about staying in line. And I'm just literally scribbling and scribbling, not being perfect. Okay, and then I can select that, right mouse click, convert to a run stitch. I'm going to make it green. And I'm going to make that outline black because I think of when you scribble outside the lines, for some reason, I feel like the outline should be black. Okay, so now let's say I like that, but I went a little crazy right here. I'm just going to use my shape tool and I can either delete by clicking the delete on my keyboard, or I can move a point. Okay, so I can just kind of move that in so that it's not such a mess. Okay. And maybe that one is a little more, maybe all of them. I'm going to select several and then just kind of drag them in just like that. So pretty cool, right? And so you would do the same thing with your berries if this is the style that you're going for. But this style here, like I said, I kind of think it's more like Scribble, but you can call it, whatever you like. And you can do this in a lot of our Dime software. So if I go back, I'll share that with you, and then we'll talk about what you're going to see next time from me. Okay, so this style here, where I just use my run stitch, convert to my run stitch from my artwork pen tool, all of those software right there will do this. Okay, and so you can scribble in your shapes and make some really cute designs with all of those programs. So what do you think? Isn't that cute? I just love that. Okay, so let's see if we have any last minute questions. So I see we have one, so let me answer that. So Gay, thanks for joining, Gay. She said, is there a shortcut chart? In your user manual, which are in the process of being updated, you will find some of those shortcuts. And a lot of them are similar to shortcuts from Windows, but I'll tell you another trick for finding them. Let me go back over to my software. If you hover over one of the icons, in parentheses, like the shape tool, it says shape. Let me go back, shape and F9. F9 is the shortcut to get to the shape tool. If I hover over, let's see what else has got a shortcut here. Save, Control S, and that one is the same as in most of your other software. The artwork tool, if I hit the 0, it'll select the artwork tool for me. 6 for digitizing applique, for complex fills, so forth and so on. But go to your manual in your shopping cart, the ... the ellipsis option here. If you click the manual over here, it will open the manual for each of these programs. Now, not all of them have been updated yet. The Embroidery Toolshed Plus is one of them that has been updated. And so when you scroll through here, there's a chart, and I think the shortcuts are here too. So do you see here where it says File Tools icon, new shortcut Control N? And so you'll find some of them there as well. That is in most all of our manuals, but our manuals are being updated. So if you see something missing, we are working on updating all of that. So how cool. What did you guys think of the Scribble designs? So Jennifer Alexander said, I love the sketchy stitches look. So I do too. And it's very low stitch count. So you can put it on pretty much anything, even a knit shirt, it would stitch great on. And then Christy says, what's the difference between Stitch Snapshot and Stitch Snapshot Plus? So Stitched Snapshot is the version prior to the Plus, and it's one that we actually gave it away in some of our events. So if you attended our events, it was a gift in some of our events. Now, we don't have it anymore, but you might have received it in an event in store that you attended it, the Stitch Snapshot. And then the Stitch Snapshot Plus, that's all we have now. And it basically has some addition of some frames and some decorative things that you can put around your stitches. So that's the main difference between Stitch Snapshot and Stitch Snapshot Plus. So, but play with them. Both of them are in the cart, and you can try both of them and kind of play around with them and check them out. So, and then everybody says that they're loving the sketch designs. So, do you need them both? Which Stitch Snapshot and Stitch Snapshot Plus, I guess? No, you do not. I would just do Stitch Snapshot Plus because we don't even have the Stitch Snapshot anymore anyway. So Stitch Snapshot Plus is the one that you would get if you are purchasing one from us or your local dealer today. And then thank you, Gay. So good to see you. So she said she can't wait to try it. And then Mickey Smith said Stitch Snapshot has a lot of stitches. Is the Stitch Snapshot a lot of stitches? Well, it's not as many as a fill stitch, a regular fill stitch, but it does have probably more stitches because of the layering and because of the shading. But it's not like digitizing a fill. It's definitely not as many stitches as that. So Mickey, same thing. I would say to you, try the Stitch Snapshot, create a design, and you can see the number of stitches in the top or over in your properties area. And so that'll kind of give you an idea for the number of stitches in those areas. So, but really good questions, everyone. Okay, so next time you will be back with me is November the 19th. So November the 19th is your next Software Success. So join me live. And for this episode, I'm going to talk about quilting around an embroidery design. And I'm going to do very similar to today. I'm going to show you how to accomplish this in as many of our dime software as I can make it happen. Okay, so if you want to quilt around your embroidery design, make sure you join me in 2 weeks on November the 19th for our next Software Success. Now, I always urge you, if there's a software that I showed you today that you are in love with and you can't live without it, check your local store, your local dime dealer. We have a locator on our website that you certainly can find to locate a dealer near you. Support local. So not only is it going to keep your local shop in business that you love so much, but it also gives you another avenue for education, because there are plenty of places out there that sell our software and also teach classes, but it also gives you an in-person person, an actual person that you can go to and ask questions. And you can still access all of our dime-free education on top of whatever your dealer offers. So support your dealer, purchase local if you can. If you do not have a dealer local, you can also purchase from our website, dzgns.com. Any of our programs are over there, but we always love you to check out your local store. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here with me. It's always a pleasure to share my love of embroidery software with all of you. So until I see you on the next Software Success, I'll say bye for now. Thank you guys for being here.